All right, Eric here again. Um, I have been playing with the Orbit software system a little bit, and I think I just used the original standard settings, but I think it's called high performance stereo or high performance sound or something like that. But I was able to take the option. Oh, by the way, and what happening is I was able to connect. After I changed the amplifier, I was able to, and refiddling with all the connections, I was able to hook up a center channel, and it seems to work quite well now. And the next step is I was trying to play with the settings and to try to turn on the subwoofer. Now, so I play with the Orbit software. I turn on the options of the subwoofer, and under tone control, I was able to see there is a additional settings for subwoofer. So what I've done was I actually hook up the subs that I've installed in the back and hook it up in the original Volvo amp. But the sound, I can actually definitely feel a bit of a bass enhancement there, but it wasn't very present. So I think it's just that particular amp, that the Volvo, I mean the original Volvo Harman Kardon amp, that is just not powerful enough to drive those subwoofers. Maybe it's a totally different story if I install the original subwoofer design for the car. Even if I push it up, you definitely can feel it, but it's just not really there. So we'll go to the back end and we'll talk about the plan. So here's the plan. I have bought a JBL amplifier, Class D. It's also under the Harman Kardon group, and it's supposed to be able to take the high level input as well from the original Volvo amp, Harman Kardon amp. So I'm going to use this to drive the subwoofers and see if it works. Some wiring for electricity, fuse holder obviously for protection, and bought myself a crimp tool for doing the electrical connections. And so supposed to mount it underneath there, and the battery is just very close, and it should be quite a simple job to do. So this is the original screw, and I think it's a little bit too long. If I screw it onto the panel, it will poke through. So I was trying to look for the right size, because the head has to be small enough to be able to get into the hole. It's got to be a little bit shorter. So the one that I find actually is from a anchor set, and I'll give it a try and use that to mount the amp onto the panel. So I hook up the output to the speakers. I'm gonna wrap it so to protect the wire. The incoming wire coming from the underneath the seat from the front amplifier, I'm going to split it and use the adapter provided by the amplifier into left and right channel into the amp. Okay, I'm going to terminate the cable that I'm going to bolt onto the battery, but I won't do that. I won't do the connection yet, but I will just terminate it first and connect the amps, connect the fuse side before I actually hook it up to the battery. So if I flip the panel, the battery terminal is actually closer to the top of the board here, so I'm going to mount the fuse here somewhere, and then have both the positive and the ground power cable going out. And so when I flip, I can just bolt it onto the battery. I will give it a little bit of extra length just in case. And then what I will do is I'll probably screw some Velcro and so I can lay the cable properly. Hi there. So what I have here is I have a laptop running a software called REW, ROM EQ Wizard. Sorry, it's a little bit dark here, but I've got a audio output cable connected to the car underneath the glove box, and you can see it's actually I'm configuring it to connect to the auxiliary input of the car. And I've got a measurement microphone here, which is a USB microphone, to connect it back to the laptop via USB and take measurements. So I'm going to do a sweep. What I've just done right now, this is the first sweep that I'm going to do, is I disconnect the subwoofer amplifier. And so I'm going to run a baseline and see how the standard speakers perform. And then what I will do is I will try different settings of the subwoofer amplifier, like different crossover frequency, different levels and things like that, and try to come up with a, sort of like a tuned curve that I think is probably the best. So let's try the measurements as a baseline. Okay, let's have a look. I probably need to change the graphs to 112 smoothing, so that's good. So pretty much at this point where it is, the microphone will pick this up. By the way, I should have a calibration file, which I can load against the software for the calibration for this particular microphone. But I lost that file, and I lost the serial number of that particular microphone, measurement microphone, and there might be some error around the measurements around here. But as you can see, pretty much it's ups and down a little bit. But if you really look at the basics, what I call the frequency response is start to drop off. Oh, that's doesn't look too bad, but it seems like it start to drop off from 40 downwards. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me for now, because I will try different measurements, because the standard the standard speaker is not supposed to go down to that deep, and I'll try different measurements, and I'll try to summarize it a little bit later. Just want to show you guys what I have done here is I have done a few measurements. So the first one, this file is the car baseline, what I've shown in the previous clip. Just basically the base measurement that I've done when I hook it up. And then I think the second one I've done was I just turned up the gain, maximum volume, and I set it to the lowest crossover frequency on the amplifier, and also set a 0 phase on the amplifier. So the amplifier can actually have 0 and out of phase 180 degree. It depends on your environment. Sometimes you need to set to 0, maybe sometimes you need to set to 180. So depending on the mounting positions and things like that, so you really have to test it out, I think. And then I don't know why I missed the number 3, but anyway, I have a number 4, which is a mass gain, mass volume, minimum crossover frequency, but I have changed the phase on amplifier to 180, and then you can actually see the frequency response. It's probably the smoothest, especially around the base region. So if you compare a few of this, for example, and then I have the last one, which was I turned up a little bit about the crossover frequency on the amplifier. The gain is still the max, but I turned down a little bit the volume. As long as I turn the crossover frequency on the amplifier a little bit higher, it will create a dip around 60 to 70 hertz, which is not what I want. So nevertheless, I basically go through the files and compare and have a look of them, and I prefer this one. And to my ear, I think this also gives me a bit more balanced sound compared to the other three settings. I think the point I want to make is when you want to tune a subwoofer, for example, even in your home or in your car, you really need to measure it. You really need to, don't only trust your ears, but also trust the gears, measure it, and ensure that it's actually showing the right results, as well as, you still need your ears to fine tune it, but nevertheless, this will give you the correct understanding of where the problem is and what the setting should be. And I think that's it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to record how it sounds like because YouTube wouldn't allow me to play any songs. But I can tell you my personal opinion about how I've installed the center channel as well as the subwoofer is that it doesn't really change the sound quality. Installing the center channel does lift the soundstage up a little bit, so the vocal is a little bit more coming from the front. And I don't have like big 12-inch or 15-inch subs. It's not my purpose. So a couple of 8-inch in the back with an amplifier, it does feel the bass. It make it a bit more presence, a bit more balanced sound. So if you turn it off, definitely you will definitely feel the original speakers are not just, they just lack the bottom octave. But having those subs there, it's not strong bass like you will hear like in a sound show and things like that. It's nothing like that. But it will just give you a bit more presence, especially the bass region. Nevertheless, I'm okay with the results. For the cost that I've invested, I think it's good. So anyway, one project finish, and thanks again for watching.